Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Another reading video, and also it's a new month. So what better way to start off the month than by choosing prompts from my TBR jar to try and figure out what my February TBR will be like. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Give it a good little shake. As always, we always start off these videos like that. And for January, I feel like I read a lot. I kind of followed my TBR just a little bit, but not fully. So I'm excited to see if February I will follow it, because I just picked up today, which we have about a week left of January. I just picked up a couple books from the library. So I'm hoping to read those, even though I have a whole physical TBR sitting on my shelves. But I want to go back to a library and start reading books from a library, like I used to when I was a child, all the way up till like high school. So let's see. Prompt number 1 says we're gonna start it off strong with a book of my choice. I was not planning on that prompt being so hard. However, I think I whittled it down to about 2 books. I have 5 at least that I really want to get to. I'm gonna start off with first Frontier Lady. This is Christian, Western, historical fiction around the Civil War, and it's somebody I've never read before, but being Christian, I'm really ready to kind of branch out a little bit more. And I've just been in a Western kick for so many weeks now. I feel like actually like a whole month. And that is 2 books that I just picked up from the library. So I have a potential to add to the Western kick, kind of continue it out. And we have this little trilogy started. This is on my 26 and 26, but also on my 26 and 26, I have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This is the first prequel for the Hunger Games. I've really loved the Hunger Games and I really wanted to get into this book. I finally just picked this book up. Actually, my husband picked it up from Amazon for Christmas for me, and I really want to dive into this. So now it's just deciding which one do I want to dive in more. Which book am I maybe more excited to pick up and read? I have no clue, honestly, which one I want to read. Maybe we'll do a little eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and we'll see. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. My mother said to pick the very best, and you are not it. Alright, I guess I have my answer. We are going to be trying to read, most likely going to be reading Frontier Lady. I am a little sad that I might not get to this book, but maybe I'll pick out a prompt and it'll fit this book and I can put this on my TBR as well. Choosing for prompt number 2, the shortest book on my physical TBR. Alright, I'm gonna turn off the camera and I'm gonna sit down here for about like probably 5 minutes and try and figure this out. I think it's going to be an Agatha Christie book. If not an Agatha Christie book, maybe my new one from Larry McMurtry, but I think that one's like 200 pages. So it's gonna take me just a little bit to get through some of these books. This actually might be a really good one. We have a little bit of a toss-up. First off, I could finish one of my Agatha Christie books, and this is a 5 novels in 1. The only book I have left is Towards Zero. This has 138 pages, taking it as the shortest book on my physical TBR. However, I have another book by Agatha Christie in a different book, but also in a 5 novels in 1 series. I have yet to tackle a single one in this, but I just picked this up from my local library, and it is actually Passenger to Frankfurt. It also is 138 pages. So basically, I'm gonna read an Agatha Christie book. I think for the sake though of finishing this specific novel, since this is all 5 of them, I've read 4 out of the 5, I might just go ahead and go with Towards Zero versus starting and picking up my first one in this 5 complete novels. I feel like that would be a better choice. So we're gonna go with Towards Zero. I just find it ironic that there are 2 Agatha Christies, both at 138 pages. I've also been reading a lot of Agatha Christie. I think in January I read 2 books. I've almost considered reading Towards Zero in the month of January, but I just didn't want to pick up a 3rd book from her. Mainly I've been listening to them on audio though, and that's been helping me get through them. However, we are choosing for prompt number 3, a 3-word title. I feel like I have so many of these. For a book with a 3-word title, I'm gonna go into The Rose Society. This is book 2 in the Young Elites trilogy, also by Marie Lu. I read the Young Elites, I think in the beginning of last year. Never got into the next couple books because I had to buy them. I bought them for my birthday around October, give or take, maybe the next month after my birthday, and I really want to hop into the series. I need to kind of refresh my memory on, I think it's behind me a little bit, but we have the Young Elites back there. I need to kind of do a little recap and then go into this, and I want to finish this little trilogy so bad. It's been on my mind a lot here recently, especially because I just did my end of the year wrap up and I talked about the first book and how much I loved it, and I want to dive back into that magical system and see what happens, and also if there's going to be a relationship later, maybe in this book, if not in the 3rd book. So I'm very excited to hop into this book. Choosing for prompt number 4. Aw, this one's sad. I have husband chooses. However, he is at work. Actually, he's probably almost done with his lunch break, so he's probably not going to answer, and also he is too far away. Like, he can't necessarily see my books. I could send him a photo, but with him actually working and going back to work here in the next couple minutes, I don't want to bug him. He doesn't have that much time. He's very swamped right now at work. So as much as I love that one, we're gonna have to pick again. I really wish he was home, because if I would have filmed this tomorrow, I would have had him come in here. Let's see, what's the next one? No, I don't like this. We got the shortest book on my physical TBR. Why did I just pull out the longest book on my physical physical TBR. First off, the longest book on my physical TBR was Under the Dome, which I just got for a Read It Unhaul It at the beginning of January. And now I think maybe a Stephen King book again is on my list. I think it's like Insomnia is my next longest. I don't really want to tackle another book from him this close to reading the other book that I just tackled. And also I don't want another almost 1,000-page book, if not a 1,000-page book, when I just tackled one for the month of January. However, I guess I'll go see what my longest book on my physical TBR is. Well, what would I know? Insomnia is the longest book on my physical TBR, coming in around 787 pages. I did have the third book in the inheritance cycle, which is like Aragon, Eldest, and Brysinger. Brysinger itself was about 740. So it was really close, or at least the copy I have, it was really close to beating this, but it just wasn't close enough. And then because it was the third book of the series, I would have actually picked up Aragon. However, I probably will not get to this. Do not expect me to get to this because, like I said, I just read a 1,000-page Stephen King book already. I don't want to hop into another one that's around, not really around 1,000, but very close to 1,000. All right, let's choose another prompt that's hopefully better. So prompt number 5. Honestly, this one might be a good one. It's a very interesting one. It is a book that is 50 to 100 years old. I had a bunch of 100-year-old books, or around 100-year-old books. I have read a lot of them. So technically I don't have that many anymore. However, I do have a couple books, more like 4 or 5 from 1880 or so. They are my family on my Paul's side, and they are German books, so I'm not going to be reading those. However, I do probably have a couple that are around 50-ish or so years that I also could probably get to. All right, I have a couple books, a couple options. These are apparently the only ones that are pre-1975. We're in 2026. Okay, so 1976. I don't have too many books, I guess, before that I have left to read. And then, of course, a couple of the books that I wanted to read were 77, just a couple years off. First off, we have one from like the 40s, and this is called The Bishop's Mantle. This is a good potential that I'm considering. Or we have both 68 and also I think the first one or the second book. I just realized this was not one entire book, but 2 books. The second book is apparently like 64, and then the first book is 68. So The Shrouded Walls is 1968, it says, for publication. And then The Dark Shore is 64, give or take. And I thought this was one book. This is apparently 2 books in one. So I don't know if I want to tackle one of these. I would just go in order of how it is in the book. So it'd be The Shrouded Walls, or if I should tackle The Bishop's Mantle. I'm more intrigued on cover for this one, and also because this is 2 separate books, I kind of want to tackle this and maybe read this entire book and cross 2 books off my list. We're gonna read The Shrouded Walls, but potentially I will read both of these if I can get to this, or if I want to get to this, but I'm gonna choose this entire book. Polling for prompt number 6, which also might be our final prompt depending on what exactly I poll or what book I decide to pick. This one I feel like is a really good one. I love when I hit these ones. It's so long. It says random number generator for my physical TBR page in my book journal. I did have originally 75 books on this list, and then I bought a couple, and more so that 5-in-1 Agatha Christie that I have not started. I bought that one. So I added 5 more books, actually more than 5, because I am now at 82 books. Read a lot of books, and I also am getting rid of one specific book. But I guess also we have another book because that's a 2-in-1, but I will worry about that later. I'm just gonna do 1 through 82, and we will see what we get. So generate, I think that's generating. 28. What is 28? Ironically, 28 is the Tyrant's Tomb, which is a part of the Percy Jackson series. I am in the middle of Percy Jackson. In January, I just read the second book. This is a series that comes after Percy Jackson. I think you're supposed to read it like number 3 in all of the series Rick Riordan has made involving Percy Jackson, and this is from the Trials of Apollo, so I was not going to be reading that. I could either put Percy Jackson on the list, like number 3, the next book in the series that I want to read. Let's just go ahead and spin, and if it's one that I've already read, then I'll just go ahead and put the 3rd book from Percy Jackson on that list. Hopefully you guys can see. Dang it! I don't know if I should do this. You know what? I'm gonna take 30, except for we're gonna have to backtrack to 29 actually. 30 is Sunrise on the Reaping. I want to read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes before I get to Sunrise on the Reaping. So therefore, let's just backtrack, and instead of 30, we'll say 29, which is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't know how I did it. I have no clue how I got this somehow on my TBR for the month of February, but you know what? We're probably gonna end up reading it. I am so excited to hop into this book, and I was not expecting a couple numbers more, and it just being Sunrise on the Reaping. That works perfectly, except for that I don't want to read that book before I read this book. I want to tackle this book first, to be honest. I want to kind of go in order, but that's the next book in the series, which is perfect. And there we have it. This is my February TBR. I can tell you right now, one of these books I'm not going to read. I'm so sorry. Also, with my TBRs, I have been kind of sticking to them, but not fully. I'm not trying to dedicate all my time to just my TBR. If I'm in the mood for something else, like how I just went to the library, I kind of want to go and read something else or pick up a new book. Not necessarily go buy a new book, but just go and maybe read what I want to read. So we will see. I know for sure that I'm excited about 3 of these books. I really want to read The Rose Society. I really want to get to Frontier Lady, and I really want to get to The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So this is perfect in my opinion, that I can at least tackle about 50% at the bare minimum. Hopefully that is. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. I'm so sorry about this TBR. I feel like it's a little bit random. You do get to see a little bit of my more unique and just lesser known or not as popular books, and I'm really excited about that. I might have a couple reading vlogs this month. I know I've been kind of trying to do more Read It or Unhaul and also some other ideas, some other type reading vlogs. I'd like to try and do one once a month at the bare minimum, or at least once every maybe couple months, like a month and a half. I feel like that would be very easy for me to do and fun, especially to document some of my reading journey here on the internet. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you in another video here on my channel, and as always, God bless.